Hey guys, it's your boy Chad again, shooting a cold open on his phone because he forgot to do one for this episode of News Time. So anyway, this episode is about, what is it about? This is embarrassing because I want to keep it going. I hate every second of my life. Come on! Hey guys, it's your boy Chad White shooting another cold open of News Time on his phone because he forgot to do one again. This episode of News Time is about AT&T wanting to change up the structure of HBO and as well as how mergers work for big business corporations like the two of those guys. For some reason, I was going to do a comic book style opening to this episode, much akin to the old comics I used to draw with a superhero character. I don't know why it would do like that. So anyway, that's it. Continue to watch this episode of News Time. Go with the theme song.
It's News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
All my friends are getting married, and all I'm trying to do is get this bottle of male enhancement pills open. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White. That bottle opened. And this is the merger news that you didn't know about. The past few weeks have been marred with news about mergers and acquisitions. It seems as though every company is trying to become a mega conglomerate with every other company. More recently, Disney buying Fox assets has really turned the tide. Now, with Comcast backing out as quickly as they wanted to join the fight for Fox, it seems there are no real rules as to how this whole thing works. Just look at AT&T's years-long fight to acquire Time Warner Networks. This process has been going on for a while, being held up thanks in part to the courts. The process began way back in the fall of 2016, ending with one of the most expensive acquisitions in history, save for the Disney-Fox situation. But this deal was done with caveats. One of the biggest, buts, includes the Department of Justice telling AT&T that they have to break up with either Turner or DirecTV. In November of 2017, the government raised concerns in regards to the buyout, citing antitrust laws for the supergroup. So with that, what? What are antitrust laws? I don't know. I wasn't prepared for these questions. Quick, Ron, add something on the prompter to help me out here. I'll vamp. Don't worry. Antitrust laws. Good for consumer. Here we are. According to Investopedia, antitrust laws are what the government used to keep consumers safe from businesses trying to make too much money off of them. Their goal is fair competition. One company can't be too big, creating a monopoly, if you will, owning one product. In terms of AT&T and Time Warner, it happens to be TV products. That's why the government told them to sell DirecTV. With Time Warner and the cable provider, they could throttle networks on streaming services other than their own, limit what CNN says, or black out networks on, say, Hulu by asking for more money. These are just wild examples, but they could totally happen maybe. We'll see. After going to court, the DOJ suggested Turner be spun off into its own sub-company, a la what Google did under Alphabet years ago. Really, that's the best way to go about it. Such a move would, as the DOJ put it, sufficiently reduce the risk of anti-competitive effects. If AT&T refuses to get rid of one of their moneymakers, they could at least keep them both at arm's length, distant but attainable. Okay, now that that's done with, why the duck am I talking about such a serious topic? Duck. Doesn't sound right. Duck. Actually, it looks like our fears may have been answered. Okay, that can't be right either. AT&T has succeeded in its purchase of Time Warner properties, paving the way for the Disney and Fox deal, meaning nothing matters anymore and everything we love has to have a shared universe and overly shallow storylines. Think I'm exaggerating? Mr. AT&T himself, John Stankey, held a town hall for his new peons in which he discussed his plans for the future of one of Time Warner's biggest assets, HBO. Unsurprisingly, he wanted to go in the same direction as leading streaming competitor Netflix. And that is not good for the viewer. If you didn't know from the deluge of stories that came out surrounding the topic, Netflix was the one to beat HBO's almost 20-year streak for leading Emmy nominations, nabbing 112 over their premium cabler's 108. The news isn't unwarranted. Netflix did release hundreds of hours of television last year, but that's what happens when you throw a bucket of paint at the wall. At least some of it's going to stick. HBO is still one of the best networks doing it right now. Keep in mind, they managed to get over 100 nominations by airing shows once a week, as opposed to Netflix's drop and binge mentality. Further, the streaming network's highest nomination scoring series, The Crown, garnered only 13 nominations, which is a number that's lacking compared to HBO's Westworld, Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, and even NBC's Saturday Night Live, all of which nabbed at least 20 nods. Like I said, paint at the wall. Mr. Stanky, AT&T exec turned head of Warner Media, told 150 employees in the meeting the next year was going to be tough. Alongside HBO CEO Richard Plepler, he admitted to wanting a broader vision for their long-running network. They wanted to be less niche and more versatile in the current streaming landscape. It sucks to admit it, but that sounds a lot like shows will have to appeal to bigger audiences. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was less development of shows like the wonderful, delightful Animals or the beautiful storytelling that is in Insecure in favor of expensive blockbusters like the last season of Game of Thrones or the new Game Plus of Desperate Housewives that was Big Little Lies. This is reminiscent of a story I covered this past fall where Mr. Amazon himself, Jeff Bezos, wanted broader programming for Amazon Video. Good Girls Revolt, One Mississippi, and other shows were given the boot in favor of big budget, assumed to be masterpieces like that new Lord of the Rings show that's coming out at some point. Mr. Stanky said they need subscriber growth if they want to be able to sustain putting money into the network, aiming to be in all homes and not just most. He suggests HBO will have to add other types of content should they want to continue to be the titan that it is. He wants the network to aim for hours of engagement per day rather than per week. Mr. Plepler isn't averse to change things up either. HBO spent only $2 billion on its shows this year, netting $6 billion in profit. Netflix spent $8 billion in order to get where they are, resulting in a negative cash flow of $2.1 billion for the company last year. Some think the tough love is the punch in the nuts that the network needed. Others find it to be the beginning of the end. HBO is nowhere near a downfall, but a change in direction can be beneficial. That's not to say there won't be growing pains. Cancellations, duds, misfires, they're all in the cards with a near bottomless sack of cash and no clear direction. A broader push can only compound that. Soon enough, networks will realize that what the competition does won't exactly work for them. They each have to find their own way in this changing TV landscape. My advice is for them to keep doing what the people love. Only then will the viewers roll in. That's all the news I have for you for this week on News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can always head to the website, cpluscomedy.com. That's got a new cone of paint itself, cone of paint. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast now on Spotify. And also, you want to say, Mr. Stanky, don't do the stanky leg when no one can see it. I'm doing it right now.